Who else feels like YSL is coming for them with their latest eyeshadow palette release? How dare you, YSL! Shame on you for releasing these beautiful color stories that leave most of us completely incapable of resisting the temptation to purchase them, even though I can assure you, probably for the most part, we have these eyeshadows over and over again. My personal Achilles heels are the two cooler, neutral-leaning color stories. So those are Captivating Dunes, which I will show you right here, which is the cooler neutral color story, and something garden, oh shit, something with a garden in it. Why? I keep forgetting the name of this palette. 1 second. Unexplored Garden. Unexplored Garden, which has these beautiful muted khaki olive type greens that lean more on like the neutral side but have a tinge of like that sage green tone in them. They look absolutely delightful. I remember when the images for these palettes, specifically the khaki green palette, surfaced on the internet a couple of months ago, and then they disappeared so quickly that for a second there I actually thought that I had hallucinated them, but then they came back, and they came back with a vengeance, because they revealed these beautiful, like, well curated color stories in a beautiful formula that, oh, they're really coming for me. I'm so tempted, you guys. So Claudia from Beyond Mindset already has both of these palettes. So yesterday she posted videos where she swatched them, she showed a couple of comparisons, and she was basically quite positive about both palettes. And Daniela from Fedaro Beauty also has done looks and swatches with these palettes. I'm not really sure where she found them, because I'm pretty sure she also lives in the Netherlands, and I haven't really seen these on any of the retailers here yet. I'm not sure how she's able to get these releases so quickly, but anyway, she already has comparison swatches as well and some looks, because Claudia doesn't really do looks with the palette. So if you're interested, I would check out Danielle, especially on Instagram. She posts really fabulous looks. I also want to be completely and entirely honest with you. Making this video does absolutely not guarantee that I'm gonna go in store in a couple of weeks when they finally appear in person here, and I'm not going to swatch them, fall in love, and decide that at the next best sale I'm going to purchase them, because I am very attracted to them. They're very much my current style of makeup, and it might be impossible for me to resist them, even if I make this video, even if I, you know, convince myself that I already have some of these shades over and over again. So I wanted to share with you the dupes that I could find, specifically and more focused on Unexplored Garden. I just think, realistically speaking, the Captivating Dunes palette, the one with the cooler taupe neutrals, will be a lot easier for me to dupe with a multitude of shades in my collection, whereas Unexplored Garden, I think, would be the palette that probably would be the most difficult for most people to resist, because it is just so unique and such a unique combination of colors. Like, I can dupe it to a certain extent, but not fully. Now, when I saw these two color stories, and I immediately had in my mind a palette that more or less covers both of them. And that's going to be a palette that some of you will recognize and some of you will think, I've never seen this before. This is the NARS Climax palette. This was a limited edition palette from a couple of years ago. It's been a palette that's been hard to get, which surprises me, because I feel like this was one of the biggest bangers that NARS has ever released in terms of like eyeshadow palettes. So I'm not really sure why this was limited edition and it never came back. But look at this color story and tell me that you don't see snippets of both Unexplored Garden and Captivating Dunes in here. Now, Captivating Dunes has a taupe mid-tone matte shade, satin metallic, somewhat deeper taupe shade. It has a sparkly silvery looking topper, and it has a deeper matte that is also a cooler brown. Does this 100% dupe this? Absolutely not. This is a gorgeous color story. However, there are a couple of significant differences here. First and foremost, I think the taupe shading here is a lot more rosy leaning compared to the one that is present in Captivating Dunes, and the topper shade, which is present in Captivating Dunes, and I've duped here with just like a plain metallic eyeshadow. However, I do actually have a very good dupe from the topper shade in the Captivating Dunes palette, and that is one of the Hard Gelée Luxe eyeshadows from Bobbi Brown. I'm just giving you this one as an example, but honestly, open your Divine Rose 1 palette or whichever palette has Solstice Midnight Sun, and you will find this shade in an even better formula than probably what is present in the YSL Quad. And finally, the deeper brown that is present in the NARS Climax palette is more of an eggplant brown. It's really not as gray toned as and taupe as the one in Captivating Dunes, but like, look at this, it comes pretty close, right? And this shade here is also a beautiful satin taupe shade, exactly like the one in Captivating Dunes. And then let's take a look at Unexplored Garden. So Unexplored Garden seems to have a very similar looking taupe shade, so I am going to once again take this as our proxy for the mid-tone taupe shade that is present in Unexplored Garden. Then it has this beautiful sage metallic green. It has a matte khaki shade, which leans more neutral really than it does anything else. And then the shade that I really cannot do for you, because I actually don't really think I have anything quite like it, is the topper shade in Unexplored Garden, which is this beautiful silvery base with light lime green sparkles. Unfortunately, I don't have anything quite like it. I have wished and wished for Pat McGrath to release a hard gelée shade, like one of the Blitz Astros with this specific duochrome to it. She has not quite yet graced us with that. So again, the matte shade, quite much rosier compared to the one in both YSL palettes. That one is a lot more gray toned. But the sage green is beautiful. It's that same like neutral undertone, and the same counts for the undertone of the shade, the matte shade in the NARS Climax palette. That's always been actually one of my favorite things about these two eyeshadows, the undertone. They're not too yellow, they're not too dark, they're not too muddy. They're just the perfect neutral, like sage khaki greens. I absolutely love them. Now, and if that wasn't enough, when I was thinking about a dupe look that I wanted to do specifically for Unexplored Garden, several perks came immediately into my mind. First and foremost, I wanted to give you an eyeshadow that I think will be a closer dupe, both in color and formula, to the more like mid-tone taupe shade that's present in the YSL quads, and that comes from this little queen here from Pat McGrath Labs. This is from the Holiday 2023 collection, and the shade is this one here. This is Twilight Taupe. This is a beautiful eyeshadow. You can see clearly those stronger gray tones to the eyeshadow, and in terms of formula, this is probably the closest you're going to get to that YSL formula. Because the NARS Climax palette, while it is a beautiful formula, absolutely outstanding, they're more of your traditional pressed mattes and metallics, whereas the formula from Pat and the formula from YSL is more of like that slurry cream to powder formula. And this is probably the closest I can get in terms of a dupe. It's not quite as light as the tone of the mid-tone taupes in the YSL palettes, and it's also not quite as deep as, for example, the deep brown that is present in Captivating Dunes. However, I think this shade can be quite flexible because it can be sheared out quite a bit. And then, in terms of the Sage Metallic Green, I was thinking, what can I use in my collection that is just as sophisticated in terms of a formula and very much comes close to duping the actual shade of the eyeshadow that is present in Unexplored Garden. And then I thought about these two eyeshadows. So these are both in a baked formula. This is a hard gelée and this is a baked formula. This is the Mercury pigment from Pat McGrath Labs, which is a gorgeous sage green, like a silver sage green. Okay, I'll admit it's not exactly green, it's more like a silver sage green. But then when you apply a little bit of this shade here, and this is the Wycombe Visionary eyeshadow in the shade 08, which is a little bit of like a deeper olive, and it has quite a bit of sparkle going to it, and like a very dimensional sparkle. I see purplish, I see gold sparkle. So I was thinking, what if we were to layer these two shades together? And I had a bit of a like flashback in my head the other day that possibly I have already done this layering even on camera, but I'm not exactly sure. So we're just going to go for this look, because look at this. Doesn't this look very close to the metallic shade that is present in Unexplored Garden? And you know what? Let's keep the NARS Climax palette around, and let's for shits and giggles also add this matte to the color story that we made here and also incorporate it in the look. Look at that. Isn't that a beautiful, you know, alternative offering to the YSL Unexplored Garden quad? Of course, it doesn't feature the beautiful topper metallic shade. That I can't give you, but I think for the rest we are pretty covered. Just seeing this already is making me feel both of these quads a lot less, because a lot of the times when I see these like new releases, one of three things happens. I see promo photos and I think that's gorgeous, but I can admire it from a distance. I don't need it. The second thing that happens is I look at it, I feel a bit more lukewarm. I think, you know what, if it gets really positive reviews and in the future I'm very interested, I might eventually purchase it. And then the third and most dangerous thing that happens to me is I see something, we lock eyes, and then I feel this like rush of excitement and desire. It's like it just comes from my belly right up and it floods me, it floods my brain, it completely clouds my judgment. And then if in a store near me they sell these items, and especially if they have them on sale, they will be mine. Now luckily for me, these YSL quads, like I said, are not yet available at the retail stores here in the Netherlands, which is really good because it gives me the time to take a breath, use my dupes, go to store, swatch them in person, and only then decide if I really truly want them. Since I chose to do the rest of my makeup off camera, I just wanted to quickly mention that I am once again giving a try to the Danessa Myricks Blurring Balm today. Yesterday it wore very well. Like I said, I wasn't going to do anything special, so I didn't really think much was going to happen with it, but it wore really well for the duration, like 7-8 hours that I wore it. I didn't see actually my face even becoming dewy. It just looked like this like matte to maybe slightly demi-matte towards the end of the day, but I didn't see any oils breaking through, and I hadn't like powdered my face at all. I did not at any point apply powder, also not today. Today I'm wearing different cheek products. I have the Mario bronzer and the Mario blush and a little bit of the Victoria Beckham pearl highlighter again. And on my lips I once again have the Soft Matte from Prada in the shade Caramel. But now without further ado, let's just do a quick look with my little dupes here and see how far we go in terms of convincing ourselves that we do not need an explored garden. Alright, so first things first, I'm going to go into Twilight Taupe, the matte eyeshadow from Pat McGrath Labs, and I'm going to start applying that here in the outer corner, and I'm going to slightly apply it as my crease shade. And I told you, these shades, they have such flexible pigmentation to them because of this cream to powder formula that I really think you can get away with shearing this shade out enough for it to very much dupe the vibes of the YSL shade. A repeat on eye number 2. Of course, I would love to hear your thoughts. Where do you stand on purchasing any of these quads? I of course hyper focused on the two that spoke to me the most, but there are 2 other quads in the collection that also look quite pretty. And then I'm going to take a little bit of glitter glue and I'm going to pop that all over my lid and also on my inner corners. And now I'm going to grab a brush and I'm going to apply the Mercury pigment from Pat all over the lid. If I had a shade that was comparable to the duochrome topper from the YSL quad, I would probably... Excuse me, I've got a bit of fallout here. I would probably have left the inner corner free for that, but since I don't really have anything to quite dupe that eyeshadow, I'm also going to apply the Mercury pigment here in my inner corners because I think it is light enough for that. And while I think Mercury has stronger like silver tones to it and it's not quite as green as the shade in YSL, I think we can easily correct for that by applying a little bit of the Wycon Visionary eyeshadow over that. Okay, grabbing the Wycon Visionary eyeshadow and just using my fingers, I'm going to take a few flecks of that and I'm going to gently mix that in with the Mercury pigment from Pat, just using my finger. I think these textures mix very nicely when you just use your fingers. You could probably use a brush, but I prefer my fingers. And I think that immediately gave the Mercury pigment much more of a green hue while toning down the level of depth this shade had, but also preserving the sparkle levels. I'm going to give a quick little blend here in the outer corner and crease. And finally, I am going to take a little bit of the khaki green here from the NARS Climax palette. I'm going to apply that here on the lower lashes. And I'm going to push a little bit of that actually also on my upper lashes. So just right here in the very outer corner of the lid, I am going to apply this darker green just for some extra definition. Okay, tell me what you think, but That's not half bad, is it? I think I've come pretty close. Please let me know what you think about this, but I absolutely love how this look turned out, and I don't think that whatever garden can really like surpass this look. Yes, maybe I'm missing that one topper shade that is really beautiful, but damn, this looks so nice. I'm honestly quite surprised at how close this came to what I imagined that this palette from YSL can do. I'm very pleased with the result. I mean, these are gorgeous eyeshadow. Why do I need more, right? Oh gosh, I really hope that I can resist the temptation to buy these, because, I mean, it doesn't get better than this, right? I can't wait to hear your thoughts. Please let me know, do you plan to purchase any of these eyeshadow palettes? Which ones do you have your eyes on? Do you think I came close to duping the Unexplored Garden palette? I'm not currently planning to do a dupe video for Captivating Dunes, because I just think it's the kind of color story that is quite easy to dupe. But if you think that you would really like to see me do that as well, let me know in the comments and I would be more than happy to oblige. But yeah, let me know what you thought about this look and this video. I'm pretty happy and pretty pleased with the result, I can tell you that. As usual, thank you so very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!